Hi, I'm Dan Allen, VP of Enterprise Security Solutions here at HP. Today I'm excited to be able to talk to you about our Wolf security products, specifically our SureClick and our Sure Access line of products that are part of the Wolf security suite. Here at HP, we've made a big investment in our Wolf security brand. And Wolf security is what we use to describe a lot of the different security technologies that make our PCs the most secure. What I want to focus on today is two key security software components, our SureClick isolation technology and our Sure Access isolation technology. Before I go into the details of these technologies and how they work, it's important for us to understand what the right strategy is that customers should take in order to protect the operating system. And when we think about the approach that we take to protecting a PC today, there's really three key things that customers need to have implemented in order to have a complete protection for the endpoint PC. First, you need to have a good AV or EPP protection engine. And this is where AV technologies and NGAV technologies reside. But if protection was good enough, then we would have no more breaches. But it's not. So we know that sometimes AV and NGAV will still allow malicious software to run. And this is where we feel that customers need a good visibility tool. These are often referred to as EDR tools, MDR, XDR. Really, it's about visibility. And why is visibility important? Because when antivirus misses a threat and allows it to run, your visibility tool can alert you to the fact that something abnormal is taking place. I'll give an example. Perhaps a new executable loads on one of your PCs. And this is the first time that that executable with that unique signature has run on any of your devices. And now that executable is talking to a server or IP address in a foreign country that your PC normally does not communicate with, and it's uploading a lot of data. So what would be happening? You're probably being exfiltrated. A malicious file is taking data from your PC and uploading it to a server. And so with a good visibility tool, you'll be able to detect that that has been missed by your antivirus, and you'll be able to hopefully take action before too much damage is done. However, there's really a third key strategy, and this is where we're focused from an HP Wolf perspective, and it's a category we call isolation. So you have to ask, why are you running that executable or that Word document or that PDF document or that website on your PC in the first place? Did you really need to let the user open that file and run it on your PC? And so with isolation technologies, we can make the user's computing environment much more secure by allowing the user to run high-risk activities inside of a micro VM container. There's multiple approaches and multiple vendors in this space for allowing isolation technology. You can run the isolation container, for instance, in the cloud and use a remote browser to connect to it. Here at HP, we focus on running the isolation on the actual endpoint device itself because you get a much better user experience and it allows you to have more control. And so what value does isolation bring? Well, when we think about your NGAV and EDR tools, if we add isolation into your security stack, we're actually going to make your existing tools more effective. Because back to that visibility tool or the EDR engine needing to monitor all the executables and all the processes running on your PC to try to figure out if something abnormal is taking place and hopefully alert you to it before damage is done. If we take a lot of those high-risk processes, all of those links that users click on that open inside of a web browser, the email attachments that come from external senders, the files that a user might open from a USB drive, and we open those files and open those links and email attachments inside of an isolation container, your EDR engine no longer has to worry about monitoring those processes. So by isolating all of the high-risk user activity, we allow your NGAV and EDR tools to focus on the things that are most important, the things that are actually running on the PC. And by getting the high-risk content off your PC and into a container, we reduce the noise and make your existing tools more effective and make your users much more secure. So what is it that we should be isolating, and why should we be isolating things? Well, when you think about how malware gets into an environment, the vast majority of breaches start with a user clicking a link, a user downloading a file, a user opening an email attachment, a user plugging in a USB drive. Really, it all starts with an end user, and end users doing something to bring in malicious content from the internet or some other external source. But we have to stop blaming the users because it's not the user's fault. As part of the user's job, they need to open email attachments. As part of the user's job, they must download files from the internet and sometimes open them, or sometimes open a file from a USB drive. And so we can't blame the users for doing their job. So the adversaries will weaponize the malicious content, and it looks legitimate. The end user is not going to know if something is good or something is bad. And so with isolation technologies, we can let the end user safely do their job. We can let the user click on that link, download that file, or open up that web page and do it securely by moving the execution of that content into an isolation or micro VM container. So how does micro virtualization work? What are these containers? With SureClick, we're actually creating a proper micro VM that is using the VTX and the EPT capabilities or the AMD-V and RVI capabilities of virtualization that are built into every single CPU that's been manufactured in the last 10 years. So all CPUs from AMD and Intel support virtualization and isolation capabilities. And what we're doing with SureClick is we're using the power of that CPU to create a separate container operating system with hardware-enforced isolation, and we move the execution of that high-risk content into the micro VM. So if there is something malicious inside the VM, what gets compromised is the micro VM container, not the actual PC. And when the user closes the Word document, the PDF, or the web tab, we throw away the container so that there's no traces of anything that ran inside that container left on the PC. Now let's talk about some use cases and some success stories for how our customers have used SureClick. One of the first success cases I want to talk about is the German government. So we know that nation states and governments are highly targeted, and they're under sophisticated attack from nation-state adversaries. The German government has made some recommendations where they would like to disconnect their PCs from the internet. We call this approach internet isolation. However, users still need to be able to browse internet websites. And so this can be done securely through something called a remote browser. And this is exactly what our SureClick browser, our SureClick secure browser does, is we allow the web browsing to take place inside of an isolated micro VM. And so with a proper internet isolation architecture, we can configure SureClick so that it is the only process that is allowed to make an internet connection. So if a user has Chrome or some other browser on their PC and they try to browse the internet, the firewall will block that access. And the firewall and the proxy servers can securely be configured to only allow the SureClick secure browser to get to the internet. And the SureClick secure browser, because it's running in a micro VM, isn't truly running on the person's PC. And if the website does something malicious, that malicious activity is isolated to the micro VM. And when the browser tab is closed, the malware is gone and was never really running on your operating system to begin with. And so the German government, being very forward-thinking, has made the recommendation that government agencies should adopt this. And we actually have many German government agencies using SureClick in this configuration today. One of the agencies has over 40,000 devices deployed with SureClick running in this secure architecture. And now their users can safely browse the internet without having any fear of that internet activity getting onto their PC or onto their network. Another success story that we have is a US large auto manufacturer, global company. And they were concerned not about isolating the web browser activity, but really concerned most about email attachments, files downloaded from the web browser, and files contained on USB drives. And so in their SureClick implementation, they're not using our HP Secure Browser, but they're using our secure file isolation capabilities. And so with SureClick, we can monitor browsers such as Chrome, such as Edge or Firefox, and anytime the user downloads a file from one of those browsers, SureClick can step in and isolate that file, so when the user opens it, the file will open inside of a micro VM. And so this organization has deployed more than 100,000 desktops with SureClick. We did that over a very short period of a few months. And they're using us solely to protect the files that get downloaded, the email attachments that get opened, as well as files that would be opened from USB drives. And users continue to use Chrome and Edge to natively browse the internet, and we simply use SureClick to protect the downloads from those browsers. This customer is also using our cloud platform, and so they were able to deploy very fast and rapidly because they didn't need to put any server infrastructure to manage the solution in their own data center. They leveraged our secure HP cloud, and so the only software they had to deploy was the MSI package to load SureClick on their devices and connect to the cloud solution. And it was a very successful, very quick deployment that we were able to do there. Some additional features that SureClick has is also something we refer to as credential theft protection. So sometimes what the adversaries are trying to do is not initially load malware on your PC, they just want to get the username and password of your users so that they can connect to the services or the cloud services and get access to the data. And so users are often tricked into clicking on a link that takes them to a website that might look like an Office 365 login or a website that might look like their bank login. But what it really is, it's a website controlled by the hackers who trick the user into typing their username and password. And so how can SureClick provide protection in this scenario? Well, SureClick has a credential protection module where when users are typing their password into a website, and this works with not only our HP secure browser, but we also have extensions that natively run in Chrome as well as Microsoft Edge, where we can see the URL of the website the user is about to type their password into, and we will check using our cloud reputation services whether that is a legitimate site or potentially a high-risk site. And we can either block the user from entering their name and password into that website, or we can warn the user that the website they're connecting to might not be trustworthy for them to type their name and password. If the user does submit their name and password into a high-risk website, we will take a screenshot, we'll take a copy of the URL, and we can send an alert to the administrators of the Wolf controller to let the admins and the security analysts know that a user's password may have been harvested from a malicious site. The next technology I'd like to talk about in our Wolf security portfolio is SureAccess Enterprise. And SureAccess Enterprise uses our isolation engine to power it, but it's designed to do really sort of the opposite of what we do with SureClick. So when you think about SureClick Enterprise and the technologies we've just demonstrated previously, those technologies are focused on taking the high-risk content and putting it into the container. So we put the scary creature, we put the dangerous lion into the cage so that it can't hurt you. We put the email attachment, the malicious website into the container so that it can't hurt your users. Well, what if we had this scenario in reverse, where you actually were running a high-value application where you're more concerned about protecting the application than you are protecting the PC. And so we can use our isolation engine with SureAccess Enterprise in this scenario where we take your high-value application, your high-value data, and we put that into a container and protect it from the PC. And what this allows us to do is, if you have a PC that is in a potentially compromised state, at least the applications that we run inside the SureAccess container cannot be affected, and they maintain operational integrity. So what are the types of use cases where we would want to use something like a SureAccess? The first primary use case are privileged users. So when you think about an administrative user, a user who logs in via an RDP session or a secure SSH session to do administration of the servers, these users, these administrative users, are highly targeted by malicious threat actors. Because it's one thing if the PC of a regular user gets compromised, but if the attacker can compromise the system administrator, they get instant access to everything. And so the damage that can be done when an administrator's session gets compromised is much more severe than a regular user. And so what we can do with our SureAccess Enterprise solution is we can take the administrative activities that users do and run them in a secure, protected sure access container. And this way, even if the user's PC is compromised, the administrative session will not be compromised. And so what kind of protections do you get by running a high-value application or administrative session inside of our sure access container? Well, first, the sure access containers are not susceptible to any keystroke injection or keystroke collection. So when I run an administrative session inside a sure access protected VM, the keyboard input going to and from that container is no longer passing through Windows. So even if there is a kernel level Windows keylogger running on the PC, the keystrokes that are being typed into the sure access container are isolated and protected. Additionally, we protect the CPU execution state, the memory space of that VM, so that no code running on the Windows desktop has any permission to see the memory or the CPU execution of what's happening inside the VM. It's almost as if I'm running a separate PC on my PC. And additionally, we have the ability to limit screenshots. So if the adversary has a remote access toolkit installed and he's trying to take screenshots of what's running on my PC, he cannot see the screenshots of anything that's running inside the protected container. So now let's talk about a customer success case for where we've used sure access. We have a Canadian government customer, an agency that has a lot of system administrators. And these system administrators have access to high-value government systems. And in this instance, they actually use Citrix published virtual desktops to allow the admins to log on to get access. Now, the big fear is if one of these system administrators gets compromised, let's say his email gets hacked, and now he launches his Citrix session, the adversary could move from the PC into the Citrix session and now have access to the government server systems. And so what this customer previously did was actually have 2 or more PCs that they would give to all of their administrators. And so the administrator would have a PC where he could read his email, where he would browse the internet and do his regular user activities. But if he wanted to log on and do server administration tasks, he'd have to use a separate physical PC for that. And so with our Sure Access solution, we are able to allow their administrators to have one PC. Instead of carrying multiple PCs, they can use one PC. And when they launch their Citrix session, we force the Citrix session to open inside the Sure Access protected VM. And this way, if there's malware on the PC because the email got compromised, the malware has no way to get inside the protected VM. It's as if we're giving the administrators a virtual thin client that's separate that they're carrying with their PC. And because we can integrate Sure Access with other PKI solutions, we're actually able to deploy secure SSL certificates for use only within our protected VMs. And this way, when the administrators launch their sessions, the Citrix environment can validate that a correct client-side certificate is being used, and this client certificates only exist inside of our protected VMs. And this was a way for this customer to avoid having to purchase thousands of additional PCs and give multiple PCs out to their system administrators. So how do we manage our Wolf security products? SureClick, Sure Access, and other parts of the Wolf suite. We do this through something we call the Wolf Security Controller. And so our Wolf Security Controller gives customers a single control plane that they can log into, that they can manage all of the security settings and manage the HP security environment. We've built our Wolf Security Controller as a cloud-first platform, but I think it's also important to highlight that we do not require customers to use the cloud for running the Wolf Security Controller. And we do this because we understand that customers have different regulatory requirements. For example, a lot of government customers aren't allowed to use certain types of cloud services. And so for this reason, we give all of our customers who run our enterprise security products the choice of either using a cloud controller hosted and managed by HP or using an on-premise controller. Now, our cloud-hosted solution is ISO 27001 certified. We also have a valid SOC 2 Type 2 certificate for our cloud-managed environment. We as HP, we manage it. We've got security professionals to ensure that the platform is updated, is available. And this eliminates the need for customers to worry about managing servers and updating servers when they use our cloud controller platform. Our HP Cloud is built upon AWS, and for our Wolf Security Controller, today we give our customers 3 choices for which AWS region we will isolate and host the controller in. Customers can choose to have their data in the cloud environment hosted in the United States, in Germany, or in Japan. Now, for those customers that don't want to use a cloud controller, we give them the option for no additional cost to run an on-premise version of our Wolf Security Controller. The Wolf Security Controller, when run in on-premise mode, is fully deployed and managed by the customer. HP has no access to the on-premise controller, and there is no cloud connection that is required. We've built the on-premise version of the cloud controller on standard Microsoft technologies. So it does require a Microsoft SQL Server database, and it uses Microsoft IIS web servers as the front end. The customer will deploy those Microsoft technologies, and we will provide them the software to install our controller in any data center the customer chooses. That could be a private data center run by the customer, or it could be a public or private cloud hosted by the customer. In the end, the customer chooses and fully manages the on-premise version of the controller themselves. And HP is committed to continuing to provide that choice to our customers, because we know that there are many customers that want the flexibility of having a cloud-managed solution, and we also have customers that need the security of being able to run something on-premise in their own data center. And HP is committed to providing both options to our customers so that we can meet all of our customers' regulatory requirements. The Wolf controller really does more than just allow us to centrally manage and control the security configuration. The threat data that we can collect from these micro VM containers is comprehensive and complete. So for instance, when a user downloads that Word document and it happens to have a crypto locker or some other sort of remote access toolkit or piece of malicious software inside of it, we're able to record an incredible amount of threat intelligence and map that back to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And that threat intelligence that we collect and load onto the controller, whether it's the on-prem controller or the cloud controller, both fully support the threat analytics. We're able to give the SOC or security administrators visibility into all of that rich threat data. More importantly, we're committed to allowing that threat data to leave our systems and integrate into the existing threat systems that the customer has. So whether it's Splunk or some other SIM that the customer has for collecting and centralizing the threat data, or they want to use open standards such as STIX and TAXII, our controller can send all of that threat intelligence into any of the existing customer systems through those standard APIs. When we look at our HP Wolf security products, our SureClick, our SureAccess, and really the Wolf suite as a whole, we've categorized our products into two categories. We have what we call Pro products and Enterprise products. It's important to understand that the engine that drives these products is the same across both platforms. The difference between Pro and Enterprise products is really about the level of customization or the sophistication of the customer that wants to implement the technology or solution. So our Pro Edition products are built to be simple, very quick to deploy, and come pre-configured with certain policies and configurations that just make it quicker and easier for customers to get deployed. They're really designed for the small businesses that don't have large IT staffs or don't have sophisticated security analysts to manage and control the configurations. Our Pro products also require a cloud connection. So when using the Pro version of our products built for the small business, they don't support the on-premise controller, and they must use one of the cloud controller options that we offer. Now for our enterprise customers, which are customers that might be large or they just might be more secure organizations, we have Enterprise Edition of our products that allow the customers to pick and choose how the configuration is going to be deployed and are very customizable. And this is where we allow customers to make decisions such as using the on-premise version of the controller. So whether you're using Pro products or enterprise versions of the products, you're getting the same Wolf security features, you're getting the value of our isolation technology, but with the enterprise editions, you're getting that customizable, flexible approach to how you deploy and manage the products, or whether you want to choose to use an on-premise version. Additionally, it's important to understand all of the technologies that we discussed today are made available on any OEM platform. These Wolf security products support Windows 10 and 11 devices from any manufacturer. And HP is committed to making all of the security software that I've discussed today available on any device, regardless of the manufacturer who may have made that device or where you purchased that device. Now, with that being said, there are things that we are doing to make the HP devices more secure, to more tightly integrate our Wolf security technologies with our HP hardware. And we've done a lot of amazing things and have a lot of innovations that you'll see inside the controller and that are available on our hardware platforms that will make the HP Wolf security products run better on HP hardware. But as I previously mentioned, we are committed to making sure that the SureClick and the SureAccess products that you've seen today can run on any platform. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time to look at our Wolf security technologies, and hope that you found this as a valuable and educational session. I want to thank everybody for attending today. I appreciate you taking the time to learn about our Wolf Enterprise Security Solutions. Hopefully you can see the value that our SureClick Enterprise and our SureAccess Enterprise applications with isolation can bring to your organization. So thank you for your time, and everybody have a good day.